Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, joined once again by Rafael Conquista. So we
Yeah,
have a lot of stuff going on with this vaccine injuries, and it's just going to keep accumulating, keep getting worse. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm very excited about people finally starting to bring lawsuits.
Yes.
And so it's like that's going to be incredible. It's opening a whole can of worms. And it's like the tip of the spear where they're penetrating for the rest of us. And so this lawsuit was from, I believe, a nurse in California. I have the case sitting before me. I'll show you in a minute, um, where she alleged, and factually so, that the hospital suppressed information about the death of the child in the womb ratios. So apparently the hospital. I'll just go ahead and share my screen so everybody can see this. I think it's
Yeah, that's there's so much that's coming out now. It's I don't know when we're going to turn that corner as far as like people going, "Oh, dang, we got had." You know, it
right.
is. I think a lot of it is just people. It's just so overwhelming. People just don't want to face it because so many people got the shot, and they probably feel responsible and so forth. But they're responsible to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But these people that fooled them, took advantage
Yeah.
of them, they're ultimately responsible. And we need people to
Totally.
like come to that conclusion and
Yeah.
understanding, and stop blaming themselves for being fooled, and get active and pushing back like this one amazing nurse.
Hey, we've all been fooled.
Yeah.
I mean, the awakening, like your shirt said last week, the wakey is really pretty recent. I mean,
Mhm.
I've gotten the shots, some of the shots when we were kids. My kids, I got the shots, and so we sort of learned this thing that was
Yep.
false. Well, I'm okay, so I just keep this pattern going, and of course, like you've said many times, once the foot is in the door, they just keep expanding the shots, and then they require the shots. And so here's this nurse who links the surge in stillbirths to the COVID vaccine, and I think it's going to be massive because this is just a single suit, and I believe it's not even from the mother. I believe it's from the nurse. And if mothers get a hold of this, it's going to go like ballistic, and it should. Like it should be so large that they actually end up not having to wait for RFK Jr. to do it and the government to do it. The state's never going to do it, for us to be doing it ourselves. And so I'm very excited about it. Here's the actual complaint for damages and injunctive relief. So they're asking for the hospital to stop. I haven't read the whole complaint, but anytime there's an injunction. And so you guys remember that if you're ever in a suit and you become a plaintiff, I recommend you always ask for an injunction. So as soon as you file your suit, even if it's something so simple as a traffic ticket, then you ask for an injunction against whoever wrote you the ticket or whoever's coming after you, because everything they're doing is illegal. So this is kind of a cool case. We'll be following this and keeping our eye on it. But she says the hospital deliberately and selectively concealed from everybody, even the regulators, which I doubt. I think the regulators knew as well. The spike in unborn baby deaths, and it was like normally she said it was like one uh, stillborn death a month, and it went up to like over 20. Just huge. I mean, these are like medical statistics. I think a huge shift is like 1% or even less.
Hmm.
So this was massive, like thousands of percent increase in these deaths. So moms, if you have family or if you've experienced this, bless you. And like Michael just said, don't just, get over that sorrow and that grief and go after these very evil beings, because these are beyond felonies. These are Nuremberg kind of situations. And
Massive crimes against humanity.
yeah,
Massive.
yeah,
By
huge,
extremely evil people,
right?
psychopaths, and they shouldn't be allowed to continue forward, to continue to do this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But they are, because we haven't pushed back hard enough. Now, how many hospitals do you think there are in the U.S.? Just rough guess?
Uh,
Hundreds, thousands,
yeah, thousands, probably over
thousands?
10,000, I imagine.
Really, that many?
I think
Wow.
so. Yeah.
So imagine this one case goes through and
Mhm.
does actually the lawsuit people they have to like pay, or they have
Yeah.
to take responsibility and say they'll you know help people or whatever they're going to do.
Right.
From that point on, every hospital has a shot at it. So that's why it's so important when you have precedents, and they always, you look at any lawyer that has a case, they are always going to search for precedents, a case that's like that, that
Yeah.
has gone through and reached a judgment that they're trying to reach. So
Right.
if we get precedents against any one of these hospitals for this, it's 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 boom time all over the U.S. Now, this goes a lot deeper. You have some really good stuff you're going to share today on this. Let's. I don't know if you're ready to move to the Putin thing, but God, that's fantastic.
I know. Well, I'd like to talk just a little bit about this because
Yeah, yeah.
it's connected. So when you file a suit, I'm going to switch back over the screen. So let's say you're the plaintiff here, right? Let's say you're Michelle Spencer. So when you file an action, whether
Mhm.
it's through these attorneys are probably pro bono, and you know they're connected to the Children's Health Defense Fund, which is incredible.
Oh,
And
good.
so when you file an action and you become a plaintiff, then you have this opportunity, and I'm going to share my screen here. So we just heard that the chairman Comer subpoenas Bill and Hillary Clinton, former U.S. attorneys general and FBI directors related to the Epstein stuff. So they're coming before the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Chairman James Comer has subpoenaed them. So coming back for just a sec, back to this case. So when you become a plaintiff, um, and I'll connect it to like the Tina Peters and the Granny case too. So when you become a plaintiff, now you have deposition powers, and I'll tell you what, they're incredible because I've done them. And if you know the right questions to ask, and you only ask questions that you actually already know the answer to, and so it's an incredible experience, and you can just the ability to plow these guys under is unreal. And of course you have the ability to get documents and do investigation into their files and their records and all that kind of stuff. But so back to like the Tina Peters case, when she was the defendant, then you have to become a plaintiff. You have to countersue every time somebody touches you. And I think that's one of the things that we haven't learned and probably failed to do because it's not easy, and it's tense, as you know, Michael. That you know when you're fighting with the beast, it's not an easy situation. But it really changes the hardwood when you stop playing defense only and you go on to the offense. And that's why I love this thing, because I think, like you just said, it's gonna be a fire, and women are going to start looking at this going, hey, I lost a baby, or I was personally injured, or my child was personally injured. And they're going to start filing these cases. And they're going to include doctors and the local regulators and stuff like that, who are all participants in profitability and stuff like that in that industry. So, yeah,
Yeah,
the skirt's getting lifted on this one, and I'm loving it. It's great.
yeah. I'm going to have a guest on. I'm not going to say his name yet till we get everything finalized. But he was a doctor that was basically injecting people with saline instead of the COVID
Oh,
shot.
awesome.
And
Awesome.
yeah, so
Yeah.
imagine, excuse me, imagine more doctors that did that
Yeah. Incredible.
instead of like kowtowing to the beast system, and that's what we saw, just all these people, not fighting back, not pushing back.
Right.
So the offensive, I can tell you, as someone that teaches fighting,
Hmm.
you're always an offensive fighter. Always. You go defense, you lose. So you don't, like you said, you don't go in and ask a question you don't know, because then you set yourself up to get punched right in the face, and then
Yeah.
and then they have you.
Yeah.
So
And
you go in knowing what you're going to ask, and you take the aggressive stance, and you keep the aggressive stance. Like
right.
when I play chess, I'm always offensive, and I
Right.
normally win. Not all the time, but uh, because there's some people out there that are like very clever, and we have to understand that's the way the bee system is. They're very clever.
Oh,
So they're like 10 moves ahead of us sometimes.
right.
So I come in offensive and start like hammering away, and I'm like getting in there. It's like, and then they come up with this crazy move that I have never seen. It can throw me off. It can throw us off, and that's what they've been doing. So we have to like learn to look further out and be very creative. So when we do come in for the attack, we're 10 steps. We have 10 questions, and
Yeah,
we know how they're going to answer them, and then we like hammer them on their answers, and you just keep going, keep going, keep attacking, keep attacking, keep attacking. You got
right.
to be that way with this stuff because, like I said, these people, have all the money on their side. They have, regulators on their side, like you pointed out. They
Yep.
probably already know. But if the regulators start to see 1Z, 2Z, 3Z, 10, 100, cases moving in the right direction, they're going to start to back down.
They
They're going
are.
to just like those Democrats that ran to Chicago to escape from Texas from having to do their duty.
Right.
And some of them are starting to run back now because they see this is a weak case. That's what we're going to see going forward. So you just keep the offensive, like Texas learned the last time these Democrats did this. They threatened them. They knew they wouldn't, go forward this time. They're they're going forward. Or they're asking the FBI to get involved. They're going to like
Yeah.
probably take out the head guy, Wu, I think his name is. They're probably going to like take him off completely. Supreme Court of Texas is going to get involved in that. So
So,
there are legal, ways that we can beat this system, this beast system. And if you're working with people that are, have the same mindset, offensive mindset, you get people working with you that are like, I don't know. Oh, no, no, no. We have to be like completely offensive here. We have to like you said, multiple questions and steps ahead of them. Uh, and once the case is won, sets precedence, and then we have 1,000 other people pick that case up and run with it again. So this is how we're going to win against the system. So this
yeah.
is fantastic.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and come back to you because I want to talk about a couple of things you just said. Um, when we go offensive, it changes the whole game because generally, like the regulators or even the people that are administering the shots, they really don't know anything. They're just being told what to do. And so they're just obeying for whatever reason. They're being extorted. They might even be being paid as part of the financing from the pharma industry, the vaccine industry, but they don't know anything until they get sued. And then you start going offensive and asking them questions. They are really, really like dumbed down. Like they really don't know what they're doing other than being told what to do. And I think it's also an awakening process for those who were maybe not evil, participating in it by being afraid and being told what to do, or maybe they were receiving a paycheck in the back door. But nonetheless, this kind of doing this, I think this is like one of the largest things that we fail to do as kind of God's kids is to go offensive and fight back because these enemies, they really don't know what they're doing. All the way down, like from the very top, we see, the subpoenas coming for the Clintons and these guys involved with Epstein. They're all yes men too. They're all brown nosers. They don't really know what they're talking about or what they're doing. They've been able to lie and get away with stuff for so long. But when we get them in like a Jayco like seal lock, they're not getting away. And that's why I'm so stoked about this. And also another thing, I'd love to see, because another thing that they've gotten away with is like when they keep us in confusion, they kind of keep us fighting each other. And that's really a bad deal. We need to jump on board. It's a matter of survival for us now. So we all need to get on board, get on the same ship in the same direction and fight this thing together. They've been murdering our kids and our loved ones for how long? Like, this is unbelievable. So this kind of thing is really great. Really great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right.
All right. I'll jump over to that Putin thing, and I don't know if
Yeah.
you've heard this, but like, so this is from the Julian Assange news, but I also found a couple articles about it. Putin sets off a boom. Bill Gates faces extradition for bioterrorism. Death penalty looms as the globalist cabal crumbles. So Assange over here says the storm has arrived. Putin has demanded the extradition of Gates and Anthony Fauci for crimes against humanity. And he's not bluffing, it says. Russia now holds irrefutable intelligence proving COVID-19 was engineered as a weapon, not a mistake, not a virus, not a virus. And the world is at a crossroads. Hand over the monsters who unleash death and control, and watch the whole house of cards collapse. So I can't like verify this in Russian, but this guy's been pretty accurate. So I'm thinking, okay.
Julian Assange, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
he's got some good insights, and now he's starting to come out again. I saw another article about him where he was basically revealing that Russian troops, special forces troops, were going into tunnel systems and discovering all kind of adrenochrome and kids in cages and all kind of crazy stuff. So it's we've but come from a more high reliable source. See thing really start to pick up.
Yeah. So this is some incredible stuff, and I'm thinking like because these guys have been allowed the Gates and the Faucis, these guys have been allowed to function primarily in the West. And so these Eastern nations that I've mentioned before, I think we're seeing the unveiling of the East versus the West. Like it's so disgusting even to the communists. So it's kind of humbling when I think about it that the countries of the West, the European countries, the Australia, New Zealand, America, Canada, have all been these countries that have sort of touted godliness have been like, now we're watching this deep state, this evil that's being exposed at all levels. And these the communists that we've grown up learning to hate are like hating it as much as we are. So in that sense, it's very exciting because I think it's over. I think it's coming to an end. These guys are either going to get hauled off like this or they're going to die. So it's very exciting time for that. So I'll come back to you again. So yeah, it's just huge. And I think we'll see more of that revelation over the next days and weeks, because I think it's probably legit. Putin has been talking about this for what, Michael? How long? A year or more? That these are bioweapons and that he's gone after some of these bioweapons labs in Ukraine. Yeah, and
they were developing. And they talked about it long before, Putin went into Ukraine, that they could target specific, groups, and they were going to target Russians with bioweapons. So he's like, oh no, we're not going to wait for that one. We're going to go ahead and take this down.
Exactly. So that's going to be really exciting for us to watch. And
so it was interesting. There was a shooting on a base in Georgia. I guess some sergeant went off on maybe MK Ultra, Manchurian Candidate type. They basically started shooting, shot five of hers, whatever. Army veterans or whatever, they were there. And so it's interesting that Trump is going to talk about Putin, and they announced that, and then that shooting happened. So this is going to be, it's an ongoing war. We know that. So we'll see crazy stuff like that continue. Very frustrating.
Very. How much of that MK Ultras is involved in all ranks of society, the military, police, and stuff like that?
Corporations, yeah.
Yeah. Is that pretty heavily, or like, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, the CIA's been doing it for decades and decades. Okay. The Nazis did it. The Nazis basically came over and started the CIA. So it's they've had lots of experience of mind controlling, people. Not everybody's mind controllable, like you and I, and most of this audience, probably if not all this audience, not capable of being MK Ultra to a great extent. Maybe a
Right.
little bit here and there that we don't quite catch. But as far as Manchurian candidates, there's like a
Yes.
very sliver of society. Sometimes you go. I've been to, I don't know how many people in the audience and yourself maybe have been to where somebody did hypnotism, and they would hip, excuse me, they would hypnotize. They would have people come up. Oh, you want to be hypnotized? So boom, right there, you're opening yourself.
Right.
And then
Right.
once you get down there, then they do and they can tell who's deep, right? So they're going to like target those people that are
Okay.
deep, and they're going to have them stand up and do crazy wonky stuff, and then I'll have them sit down, and then I'll have everybody wake up, and they'll like, "Do you remember doing that?" And they're like, "Do what?" They have no memory. So that would be a perfect Manchurian candidate. So that's the way it works.
Right. Right. And there's probably a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
And they look for them. They do questionnaires. Everyone's done questionnaires for work. Most of us, anyway.
Yeah.
And the military is like
Yeah.
extreme for everything you do. CIA questionnaires. Do you like the green of trees? And would you do this if this happened? All these things. So they're like, okay, yeah, you're not a candidate for this, but you can go work over here. But and then not only you're a great candidate, we're going to like talk to you behind the scenes. So that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the Manchurian candidates. They're always.
Yeah. And I've complimented sheriffs and police before because there's a lot of great things about them, but at the same time, those guys are really MK Ultra to a degree. One of my sons, like during interim work thing, he really wanted work, and the CHP was supposedly hiring. So
Yeah.
he like went through the application process till he was like disgusted. He went through like 6 times. And I told him, like, even the first time, I said, you sure you want to do this? Because I'm not sure you're what they're looking for. So without telling him, what you've been telling us for a long time, I was just like, you think about it. And then by the time he was at the 4th application, he was like, no, they're not looking for guys like me.
Yeah.
So
Good.
yeah, he kind of
It's
started.
good if you figure that out, because I've seen a lot of people like that too.
Yeah.
That wanted to be in the police, and they just didn't have that. I do whatever they tell me to do type attitude.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now so that's in every profession. Obviously, we saw it within the medical field more recently with the COVID-19. So they've been. I heard from a lot of people that same thing. They wanted to be doctors, and it was the same stuff, the same type of mentality. They're looking for a certain mentality, and if you don't pass that test, you're not going forward. Especially if you're in one of the big schools like Harvard or one of those big universities that they train doctors. If you don't have basically, we can tell you what to do, and you're going to do it, and you're not going to question, because we see a lot of doctors like that now. Because doctors are pretty much tied into the hospital system. Most doctors, like 80% of them now, I think. Whereas it used to be just completely opposite, decades ago.
Yeah.
So they've basically wrangled them in and corralled them into being in part of their system.
Right. Through the insurance process and payment process and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know a Harvard trained doctor who came out and said, the whole process of becoming a doctor itself, the overwork, the super fatigue, the sleep deprivation and shock, things like that are MK Ultra. The whole training in itself is like an MK Ultra. It's like a brainwashing sort of process. And you would know that better than I, but yeah, he described it in much more articulate detail than I can. But he said just the training is MK Ultra.
Yeah. And just like Crystal Grant says here, high functioning psychopath is sought after. They're not going to put that publicly. They're not going to put that in the application, but they're definitely behind the scenes and covertly doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in every field, Every field. If
Yes.
they have a high functioning psychopath, oh buddy, it doesn't matter where you're at.
You're
They're gonna
going
like
places.
they're gonna have a little talk with you and see where
Yeah.
you're at.
Yeah.
And it could be just, you know, some CIA guy that, comes in. He's like a Jeffrey Epstein guy. He has like he's a billionaire. He's
Right.
impressive. And he invites you over to his, New York mansion, and it's all filled with all kind of beautiful everything. And so you're really impressed. And then he starts to ask you the right questions because they know the right questions to ask. And then he take you out to dinner. Then you go out to dinner again, and then eventually, you're the type of person that I'd like to, have work with me. You could be my personal physician or whatever, and I'll pay you 5 times what you're making right now. Who's not going to do that? Most
Yeah.
people would,
Yeah.
but they're looking for the psychopath, and
Right.
they had unlimited amounts of money, so they get this guy. I'm just using as an example. Get this guy. He's working with them for a while, and they're programming him while he's working, and he does not know that.
Right.
They're hypnotizing him, and they're programming him to go and be the physician for Donald Trump or whatever. See where I'm going with this? And then he goes in. He's becomes a physician of Donald Trump because they have all these connections and stuff.
Yes.
And then he's
Wow.
like, he's got the injection, and he convinces Donald Trump that this is like a B complex, and you're gonna have all this energy, and then shoot, and then a heart attack. So that's the way these things work. And this is the way this works.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, this is the way this works.
Absolutely.
So it's a horrific system. The only way we take it down is we start taking down the hospitals, and then we start taking down the corporations, the Bill Gates, and the,
Yeah.
Epstein is gone, so that's good. So we're starting to take out here and there their system of control and manipulation.
Yeah, it makes it a beautiful thing when we're able to get involved just on a personal level. It's really not our job to go after the Bill Gates, but we can do it like this case against the hospital. We have plenty of power and authority to do that. But I think, Michael, a lot of times we have to, one of the biggest things I think that they prey on is our fear. And if we operate in fear, I'm not saying not to be afraid, but when you're afraid, like you've taught us many times, when you're afraid is when you have to enter the fight, because otherwise you're never going to enter anything. And so we have to work with our fear and not let our fear manage and control us. And they really know how to do that against us. They've done a great job. They even want us to be fearful of one another and what we think about one another. So it just sort of neutralizes us from accomplishing great things in God's business, and loving each other, even because loving each other really is not as much about a feeling in this instance as it is about entering the fight.
Yeah. So just holding that vibration is a major part of the fight. Being that love vibration, because the love vibration, basically, you're not controllable in the love vibration.
Right.
You're not, the MK Ultra doesn't, stick to you. You see it. It's like, nah, I'm not.
Yeah, you see it.
Did you guys see how stupid that is? You're like, what?
Yeah.
Everybody else is like, what?
Right.
But, and everybody in this audience knows that. Everybody points out, do you see how stupid that is? And everybody's like, what? What are you, conspiracy theorist?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
It's no, I like fact. And it's like, no, shut up. It's like they're programmed. They don't know. And I don't knock those people. It is they're I was dumb for a lot of this stuff too. I was getting shots like crazy in the military at one time, and then I was like, no,
Wait
I'm
a
not
minute.
get any more shots.
Yeah.
And then in the CIA, they're like, we want you to get all these shots, and we're all like, because everyone I work with, we knew by then. We're like, no, we're not getting bird flu shots. We're not getting anything shots. So it's crazy. It's crazy the way they push it in every organization. and they make it sometimes mandatory.
Yeah.
Especially in the hospital field. I was just going to take a course because when I was CIA and military, we got certified, as certain healthcare with certain healthcare capabilities.
Yeah.
And so I was going to do it for my job there at casino as a casino manager. It's like, I'll just get certified. I know all this stuff. I'll just like crush it. Wanted me to get all these shots, and I couldn't do the course unless I got the shots.
Wow.
Like,
Just to get
screw that. Screw that. Yeah. That's California. So
yeah. And that brings me, I'm glad you brought that up too, because it brings me back to this case that we just talked about, that in California, the schools making you get vaccinated, to enter into school. Man, that is like one of the kissiest cases. I want to like, just emphatically tell you parents, just go after the school board, the administration, because they're just yes people from this phony law they call, this Senate Bill 277. So just go after the school or just that individual, just like this case. It's personal. I've sent letters like the lowest level is just like that, where they come out and write you a ticket for your weeds, code enforcement. So code enforcement was, I had a trailer parked at a friend's house, and they kept coming out and writing her tickets for my trailer. And she's like, it's $1,600 now. Are you going to help me out here? So I finally said, okay, I'll write a letter. So basically the letter was, hey, are you guys, who in the sheriff's department and who in your department is the contact person and who's the responsible person for investigating and making arrests for code enforcement who are acting under color of law? And then she said, like, I've never heard from him since. Just a simple 2-question letter, and that was it. Just ask. I sent a copy to the sheriff, like, which one of you guys investigates the city for color of law violation? It's a felony. Everything they're doing, they're hiding behind they're actually hiding in and able to operate behind our not doing anything about it. We just want to, I guess we sit and watch TV all the time, which is, it's kind of fun to do sometimes, but
yeah,
get plugged in.
And in Canada, they've assisted suicided 15,000 people that have been that have problems with COVID vaccination, and they don't get any support because they don't want to take any responsibility for it. And so if people are having, horrific, problems from the COVID vaccination, they're like, well, nothing we can do for you unless you want to get away from the pain. We'll suicide you. And so 15,000 people in Canada have been medically suicided.
Unbelievable.
COVID vaccination problems.
That's heartbreaking.
It is.
And how many here that we probably don't even know of? We've had personal cases of people going in, getting falsely swabbed COVID and getting locked down and intubated and killed in the COVID units. So,
Right.
Everybody's got an action, because just almost like everything that they touch is a crime against humanity. So this is a neat opportunity for us to get active. I think it's probably our last chance too. We better do it now, or we're not going to get it.
Yeah, because the more period of time that goes by, people just forget or they don't care anymore. Yeah. When you don't, and that's what they're betting on.
Right.
They do that for every one of these situations.
Right.
They try and push it as far and as long as they can, so that people just get, and they disinfo like crazy. It's like, how could you say that? Yeah. We saved so many people with that COVID-19 vaccination. How can you say that?
Right.
So we can say that because we have proof. Millions of people died from the vaccination all over the world. And so it is, and 100 times more of that is going to die unless we really get involved here. So we really need to crank on this thing, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of people trying, like we are. A lot of doctors, speaking out, but it's people. Some of the people that speak out are vaccine injured, and
Yeah.
then eventually they die,
Right.
and they're no longer in the fight. So it really behooves those of us, whether you're vaccine. So many people they're not vaccine injured that they know of, because the immune system for someone that's super healthy probably takes a little while for it to really get screwed, and for problems to start to happen.
Good point.
Tell us about that. Basically the immune system, once it's been compromised by the mRNA, what's the process that's going on within the body?
Well, first of all, it's like whatever's in the shot, and I know the mRNA is designed to sort of reproduce itself on the piggyback of your body. But like I've told everybody before, it's always got biofilm. It's always got different foreign DNA and particles. A lot of times the DNA is locked into like your central nervous system or your lung. It might have parasites in it frequently. Toxins, additives like mercury, things like that are in the shot. And so it begins to multiply. It's kind of a bizarre concept for us to go, okay, it hijacks our immune system. Well, it does that by all of these tools that I just mentioned. So then the immune system can never get back to normal. It can't get back to its normal function because it's under this continual assault. And these biofilm formations will continue to grow and overwhelm the immune system over time. I just saw it in the clinic a couple times this week from nurses, where they're finally starting to break down, and they've been hearing me preach at them, so to speak, for the last couple of years. You got to get that out. You got to get that out, and you got to do this, and you go in the protocols that we've talked about on the show, that are in the store many times. And finally, they're listening to me because they're actually starting to have health decline issues. But it starts out with, could be vibrant people, and it does break down our bodies over time. And the mechanism is all of these toxins. And I think the primary driver is biofilm in everything, because it grows and it can contain parasites and amoeba and all of these different other kinds of infectious particles. And then they just spread through the body in a stealth fashion. Stealth meaning there's no medical science that can find them. We're seeing that with the oral scans in dentistry. There's no medical science that can see a biofilm, and they can't even see parasites, especially in the larva or the egg stages. So it just continues to sort of grow until it overwhelms your body's ability to hold it at bay. It would almost be like, like a hand-to-hand combat where it's just a continual fight. And over time, we just can't manage it anymore. So we either call in other troops or we succumb. And I think our immune systems are magical. And I even think they're different than what we've been described in modern science. And so one of the things I think is magical about it is, and I think this is what the enemy is after, is we're biophotonic, we're light beings. And so the first level of attack is to disable that light, lower that light in our body. And then of course it's biological, it's physiological, but the first attack, I believe, is in the light dimension, because then everything cascades downward as the light diminishes. So we call it light versus darkness, and that's really true in our own body and our own DNA with God's kids. So yeah, we got to get them out if we have them, and we have to do it in two ways: externally with the packs that we have, and I know the store's out of them right now, but also internally by some of the nutrients we've developed for the biofilm and antiparasitics and stuff like that.
Yeah, the antiparasitics, that's a huge one. Maybe we
can yeah
about doctors helping. There was one doctor that was just recently on the Joe Rogan show, Dr. What was her name? Mary Bowden. So you say centered.
Somebody doesn't want me to hear you. I'm not hearing your question.
That's just getting a little. My this. All right, you there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
All right, so here's on the Joe, the heavily censored doctor in America. So this is where 1,000 Canadian, they're basically suicided. She said hospitals were using morphine to kill without pain. She reviewed patient charts showing people with zero pain being given lethal. They had no pain. They didn't want any pain medication, but they came in and gave them morphine and insulin, and it killed them. And then she goes on to the ivermectin smear campaign. I talked about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. They basically shut me down on YouTube. After the supply. And then corticosteroid was used safely and effectively. The hospitals claimed to spread the virus, so they got rid of that for people that had breathing problems. Medical boards became weapons. Doctors who challenged the narrative, like herself, were hunted down. And then vaccine injuries are real and ignored. She sees 6+ new vaccine injured patients every week. Many have 10 times higher antibody levels than the unvaccinated 4 years later.
Yes.
98% of injured denied. And that's where Canada of help for death.
Somebody doesn't want to listen to this. This is amazing. Yeah. So
I don't know how much is getting out there, but hopefully we got a good piece of it. I don't know.
No, that was a good piece. And yeah, like I can chat a little bit about antibody response. So 4 years later, and they're still seeing an antibody response. So what that's telling us is like what I just described. So the body, once it's when a shot goes into your arm or your thigh or anywhere in your body, it doesn't matter where, in your bloodstream, the body now no longer has an ability to effectively remove it because it's bypassed its normal, what we would call an immune system process, which comes through your mouth, your eyes, nose, and those couple of holes are primarily where you're going to get any kind of infection. So when they jam it into your tissue, they bypass your whole immune system, and the access that your body has to tissue, like your arm or your thigh, like on an infant vaccine, or your butt, the access your immune system has is extremely small and extremely slow. And because it's biofilm related, so the biofilm is this protection that the bacteria and the parasites use to shield themselves from everything that your body has to throw at it and everything medicine has to throw at it. So there's no level of antibiotic, there's no level of chemo or radiation that can eliminate this from the body. So it just continues to slowly grow and slowly spread. So you're going to see an antibody response or high white count or even low red count, or you're going to see just your immune system collapse. I see it all the time. And we can detail a little bit more, like the thymus and the spleen and the microbiome and all these places that are influenced by just the shot. So she's spot on. But the antibodies, until that infection is eliminated, then the antibodies can reduce. Now, one of the problems we've heard, and I hate it, talking about antibodies, is the antibodies are really sort of non-players, so to speak. So it'd be like if I was like the spotter for the SEAL team from a distance. That's really what an antibody is. And then Michael and the SEAL team would be the killer cells that go in and eliminate the infection. But the antibody is just a sign that there's something wrong. It could be a toxin. Often it's a toxin or a heavy metal or even radiation. Anything that would trigger this signaling of the body to go out and spot something wrong. And then, so this is one of the complete lies about vaccines. 100% of the time, they'll elicit an antibody response. So what they've brainwashed us to think is the antibody response is our immune system. And it's only just the spotter for the immune system. So then
and it only is designed to focus on one aspect.
That's right.
There's constantly changing. That's why we have such a great immune system allowed to perform.
Yeah.
So what you're describing when you say the SEAL team comes in, it's like my SEAL team. I'm leading the SEAL team. We're all experienced. We've taken out viruses, these bacteria, whatever there are, parasites. We come in with machine guns, we have, explosives, we're really well trained, knives, hand to hand, you name it, we're taking them out. So the woke, blue-haired fat girl who's an NA says, "Get out of here! I got control of this. You guys can't come in because you let me come in, and I'm in charge now, and then you're going to die."
Yeah, exactly. Perfect example. And if they just rely on like the antibody, which would be the spotter for the SEAL team, like, oh yeah, you can come in all day long because you're not killing anything. You're just going to let us know that there's something wrong, and you're not going to let the SEAL team in to come in and handle it. Oh, that's fine. Let's talk about antibodies. And that's the part of the lie that they've created for us is like, oh, it's all about antibodies, and it's almost nothing about antibodies. It's so a true vaccine, which doesn't exist, by the way. But what it would do is it would elicit both an antibody response and then a full SEAL team or killer cell response also. So instead, what we have to do is we have to get in with our superfoods, our nutrition, like the stuff's in the store, and kill the biofilm, break down the biofilm, help the body kill. A lot of it is anti-parasitic.
Yep.
I probably in my practice, I probably only see maybe 15% parasites that are involved. Most of it's like forms of bacterial bioweapons and stuff like that. Of course, there's always toxins and stuff, but so there are parasites, but it's not as broad as what, at least in the energetic dimension, it's not as broad as what I hear. So it's not like everything's parasitic. But Michael, at the same time, if we go back to like Royal Rife's work with his amazing microscope, this guy was amazing, that his colleague said that he would sit with his microscope. So Royal Rife built himself like the first scanning electron microscope, where he utilized just the photons from the smear, like the bacteria or virus or whatever the toxin was. Just the photons from that was like his night vision. So he was able to watch these organisms in his microscope, and his colleague said sometimes he would sit there for like 14 hours at a time. He might have a coffee break or a sandwich break, and he would watch these things, and they were polymorphistic. In other words, they would go from a bacterial form into a parasitic form and then into like a neutral form. So they had this ability to change depending on what the immune system might be doing at the time at that location. So it made it really elusive. And that's the beautiful thing I think about being able to attack it with these superfood anti-infective nutrients that we have available today. We can do it naturally, and it's just profound, just very profound.
Nice. So what about the massive FDA mercury cover-up?
Oh yeah, okay, I'm going to share my screen. And since this is kind of one of my things right now, so here's the Miami Independent, mainstream newspaper, talking about the FDA's mercury cover-up, poison in our teeth. So we've talked about this, but this article is really cool. So what they've done is when we get a cavity and it's a little chip, then they go in and drill it out and they smash this heavy metal into it. And then it outgasses for 10, 15, 20 years. Mercury outgassing, and probably, I know you've talked about it, but we've probably seen it like in videos now, where we've seen it in like microscopic videos where every bite you take, this is still gassing out mercury. Now, here's a couple of things about it. Is mercury is one of those toxins that no mammal can survive. So this is part of breaking down our immune system. And so no mammal can survive, no mammal can reproduce. And what do? They put it in our teeth. And underneath this thing, of course, we see the stain that it leaves. And a lot of times you might see a black stain in your gum for you guys who had these like me. It's a stain from the mercury toxicity, and it goes into the gum and everywhere. But so if you have a filling like this, under the filling is bacterial growth, and it's leaking all in these seams here. It's leaking out and you're swallowing it. And some of it's going down in building a deeper cavitation into the tooth, leading to farther intervention. So it's a dentist like dream come true, because it erodes the tooth, or eventually over time it might fracture right here. And then you need a crown, or it gets infected too deep and then you need a root canal. But another thing that most people don't know is that, so let's say you have one tooth that has a crown and then one tooth that has mercury filling. Because of those metals, there's a galvanization process where dissimilar metals, including the mercury, which is half of what this is, mixed with other metals that are called dissimilar. They're not the same kind of metals. And it creates an increased battery effect in the mouth, so that the mercury outgasses up to 80 times faster. Now it gets worse, you guys, because now with EMF, and we had a scan the other day and we showed this, with EMF, it multiplies the outgassing. So your cell phone with multiple metals like mercury, now it outgasses at 800 times what it normally would if you had the same kind of metals and you had no EMF. So we had a guy that just came in and got scanned, and he was unable to have children. And so the first thing we tested at his testicle was his cell phone was just cooking his testicles. So of course we harmonized that, and he was just blown away. And it was kind of beautiful, because his whole life ministry was about helping moms find the way in life, so they're not aborting their babies. He was finding these dads jobs, and these girls finding them homes and jobs, so they're keeping their children, and yet he couldn't have children. And one of the reasons was because of the EMF radiation from his phone, and because he had mixed metals in his mouth, and because he was malnourished. This is probably one of the number one causes. So probably just in a couple of months, on some superfoods out of the store, he'll be having babies as he also detoxifies. But this is massive, and this is where we all grew up. All of us today in my generation, in our generation, this is how we've grown up, to have this utter devastation right in our own mouth. And I mean, I love my parents, but they were just like, did-de-do. They didn't really think about it. The doctor said this is the way it was. That was the gospel truth. And I mean, it makes me cringe today because of what I see, the destruction I see from this stuff.
Yeah.
So this is a really cool article.
Back then, like we talked about, they just had all their teeth pulled because it was so toxified,
right.
And they just got dentures. Now people are getting bone implants. They go to Mexico, or there was like these places when I was in Turkey, they had like super cheap. People would go to Turkey from England. A lot of problems with their teeth too. So they would go to basically get their teeth pulled, bone implants. That's new dentures.
Right. Yeah, that's right. It is. I'm going to come back to you. So that is the new dentures, is implants, and then maybe a denture like partials and stuff like that after a bone implant. So, but in that process from the first cavity now you have biofilm like somewhere in your body. And so Linda's just been an incredible example that I've been talking about regarding oral scans. And if I have a minute, I'd like to share her case.
Yep.
So she had a root canal extraction 16 years ago. And now, of course, she's been in and out of the hospital like every 2 weeks in AFib. And even the surgeon was like, I had to get on the phone with this guy and say, you got to get this out. He's like, what are you talking about? Who are you? I'm like, well, I do this oral scan and this energetic scan, and this is what we found. And so he said he saw it, and I showed that last week. He saw the little cyst, but he said it was a piece of like gutta percha, which is a component of the old root canal. He said it was in there. It's inert. It's fine. It's no problem. And I had to say, look, please, we'd appreciate it if you take that out. It's killing her. I'm telling you, it's killing her. And so he went in there, Michael, and just like 3 days ago, and he found this massive cyst, a biofilm cyst, and it was attached to this little piece of trash that some dentist left in her mouth. Jeez. And he said, yeah, he said he had to get a bone burr out, which is like a, you know, it's for guys, it's like getting your Dremel out and like grinding something off the metal bumper of your truck or whatever, like rust. So he's got to use a bone burr, and he said he got in there, and it was like he had to get it because it was so embedded in the bone. But he also said it was intimate with this beautiful vascular network in the bone, so the blood vessels. And he said, so it makes sense that what you saw, because it's connected to her cardiac issues. And so now, like, it's been 3 days, and she's now texting, and she's like, I'm not in AFib. It completely stopped just in 3 days. Wow. And he was brave, because even at the time of surgery, her blood pressure was running like 160, which is dangerous for him and risky and everything. But he was a hero, and he took care of it. And he said, man, the biofilm in there was incredibly large, and it was like very involved in the bone and in the blood system. And he said, so it's no wonder it went to her heart and caused all of her problems. And like, so no one had seen this ever. And he said he couldn't even believe how we found it. He said, I have no clue how you could even find this. And I'm just saying, it's all energy. It's all this biophoton. It's the medicine of the coming millennium, because we're able to see everything. There's no secrets in the body. And so we gave him his kudos, because, you know, we're like, you did it. You're the hero. Good for you. Go get it. But so she's texting me like every day, and like, thank God, I can feel it changing already. So just, that was significant. I love stuff like that. And I see it every day, because we're in this history of, we've gone from childhood with these metal fillings that the FDA covered up, like the article says. They suppressed everything negative about it. And as you've described with doctors regarding the COVID shot, they went after dentists who were saying, no, you can't use that stuff. And they would dislicense them as well, and create a lot of fear among dentists to talk against it. And it was very successful.
Oh, even against dentists? I never heard about that. That's crazy.
They had the same experience. They would unlicense them, or they would go after them.
Good God.
For their licenses, because if they spoke out against this mercury filling. Yeah.
It's got to be some way that doctors and dentists can have some kind of licensing outside of the medical establishment or something.
Totally. That's a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It has to be, it really has to be unbiased. Matter of fact, I forget the name of the America's first Surgeon General. He said, if America allows one form of healthcare in the system, your health is going to hell. He said it'll be the end of your health if you allow one controlling interest. It has to remain, you know, whatever you choose, it has to stay very free. Now, I'm not saying to not protect and guard people from predators. There's always going to be that. But now we have this giant mega predator, in the form of Fauci's and Gates and the vaccine industry and the pharmaceutical
That's a good
industry.
point.
Yeah.
The American Indians, where our Constitution came from, the Iroquois Indians, said that if you take this and you basically pay people,
yes,
then you're going to, same thing, you're going to lose control. It'll be against the people. So we've seen that. Who's the one person that we know of that has never taken money from the government? Trump. He always donates it back. He's never taken it. Yep. So,
and
how many people in Congress do? And how many people Congress gets, like Nancy Pelosi, insider trading stuff, so it's corrupt bad.
It's so corrupt. And so we get Fauci's that are in this office, this servanthood, as he calls it. I serve you for like 50 years through how many, did you say 8 or 10 presidents, and just phenomenal amounts of money. And his wife is involved in all of the pharmaceutical. It's like the FDA has become like the stock exchange, the marketing arm for the pharmaceutical industry, all under our protection. So that's the kind of thing we've gotten, is just like unbelievable, evil, unbelievable. Yeah. So as we take back control, as we do things now out of love and out of truth, and this case, I love this case because it shows us that we can do it one at a time. We can do things that we've never done before. Our parents just rarely. We waited for government, we waited for politicians to do stuff. But this case is an example that we can really do it ourselves. I would say if somebody has a similar issue in California or any other state, you can just go to the website, print out that case, and then retype it for yourself with all your facts and all your information, and just file it against your hospital. Just boilerplate it because it's really well done.
Yeah, totally. So this is the Intuitive Wellness shop.
Beautiful.
So it's in the top of the description box. So excuse me. Also in the description box is the all the specials. Get 5 different specials. So when you buy this stuff, basically you don't need to put any code or anything in. When you buy what's in the special, and you get free honey or EMF harmonizer, whatever it says, your $120 value free, they're going to put that in your box. So when you buy this stuff, it's basically they know. All right. So, and I bought a lot of stuff, and they packed my boxes perfectly. So that's the way it works. So you don't need a code. You just buy the stuff, and then they fill it the way the special is.
Yeah. I'm in love with cellular resonance. This is the biophoton and nutrition like that Michael's carrying that has cellular resonance, which means it actually matches your DNA's frequency. And there's just not a lot in life that does that, especially in the supplement industry, where still like 97% of it's coming in from China with no oversight, much like the pharmaceutical industry. So yeah, I'm in love with cell resonance, and it's why I love the patches too. Matter of fact, speaking of which, so we had this beautiful nurse that came in who got shots, right? And she said, I got one of my front teeth that's just hurting me, and it's sensitive. And so we oral scanned her, and I told her, I said she was going to go to the dentist and have him fix it. And I said, he won't fix anything because there's nothing wrong with it. It's your nerve. Your nerve is just injured from multiple dental interventions, and also because she was under a tremendous stress in her life at that time. So her biophotonic energy, her energy field was decreased, so she started feeling it in her tooth. So we found some old injuries. This is the intimate relationship of the body everywhere to how it talks to itself. So we found some old injuries in her forehead, on that same side, and on her tailbone from when she was a child. And all of those are affecting her nerve and energy flow through her body, and she's feeling it in that tooth. This is how amazing the body is. So guess one of the things we did, Michael, we patched her with X39, X49, and it brought that tooth strong. So I have no doubts that within and we put her on some superfoods out of the store, and I have no doubts within days, that sensitivity and that pain will go away. And if she went to the dentist, they would just say, oh, you just need toothpaste or something like that, which of course Sensodyne, but it won't work because it's the nerve. So, I mean, that's why these patches are donating biophotons back into our field, and it's really exciting. It's so fun to see it, when we're scanning. It's just like, it's so exciting. I love it.
Yeah, LifeWave and the Intuitive Wellness line. Boom.
Yeah.
Crushing it. All right, brother. Thanks so much. Great show. Great information. We're waking them up, and we're helping them overcome lots of problems. So,
beautiful. All right. Love y'all. Yeah.
Lots of love. See you guys next time.
All right. Bye-bye.